Some people look at that and chalk it up to the grumblings of the powerless. That's the idea that when you have a power disparity, the less powerful sort of has this general society given leeway to complain about the more powerful. The villagers complaining about their king doesn't have the same ring as the king making snide and crude comments about the villagers. But that's not what's going on here. Because although certain segments of our society refuse to believe this, even as evidence mount before our very eyes, in one side of the political aisle, people of color actually have greater power than white people. That is the truth that is not being acknowledged by the people that need to hear it, because this gets in the way of them wielding that power in the way they want, malignantly. I've heard from somewhere that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is certainly correct. We have a mainstream culture that tells us it's okay to hold prejudice and hateful view of white people, and our politics is then infused with this energy, and we see active, overt, and on-the-books racial discrimination of white people that those who are perpetuating this hatred is refusing to see as discrimination. They'll say, no, this is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And this is certainly evidence that in one side of the political aisle, people of color have more power than white people. Because if we didn't have the power, we wouldn't be able to put into place practices and policies that does this. That's what power is. Things like Minneapolis local government agreeing to a contract with the teachers' union that says white teachers must be fired first. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment. A college professor that says white people should be killed and facing no repercussions. Cornell University banning white people from rock climbing lessons. One of many instances of liberal colleges doing the utmost to exclude and ostracize white students. BIPOC only events equal no whites, but they don't have the guts to say that, even though that is what that is. That's what makes us different than the mere grumblings of the common villager. The villagers have surrounded the palace, demanding Marie Antoinette's head. The power dynamics have shifted. That is a fact. Progressive media outlets do not cover these stories. Some people out there have no idea that this is going on. But worse, some others out there know but agree with what's going on.
Yeah, this is all part of the agenda. Because...
Go ahead.
Can we just move forward? I mean, because this does nobody no good.
Yeah.
Everybody has to live together.
Yeah.
How is this beneficial to society?
It doesn't.
Now you're creating some other nonsense that people have to deal with and have to heal through and have to get over.
You're correct.
And once again, it's not something that we agree with by any means, but
No.
it was a way the world system was set up.
Right. It was. But we can't keep living it for another 100 years.
And then every situation that you come into, that you deal with, is not always that. And that's what I don't get it. It shouldn't even be that. These platforms shouldn't let people get on there and say those things about, any person of a race.
That's not in that form.
And for those people to convince themselves that this is not racial discrimination, they play mind tricks and word games. They use phrases and talking points like punching up. You can't be racist to white people. You can't oppress the oppressor, meaning I'm acting oppressively, but I've designated you as the oppressor, so everything goes. Or Ibram X. Kendi's infamous words, the only way to remedy past discrimination is current discrimination. Or when people say things like, what we're doing to white people is not racism, because racism is prejudice plus power, and we don't have the power. They use all this mind-bending apparatus to delude themselves into believing what they are doing faces no moral quandary. But in the back of their minds, perhaps in their subconscious minds, is racial revenge. We experienced it, you experienced it too. See how you like it. That people of color are using our newfound power to act this way and then pretend like none of this is going on leads me to believe that we would have done the same thing that white people did were we to be in their historical position. Because such acts have its roots in human nature, not white people nature. And one can only imagine what might happen in the coming decades when the demographics of the US will have shifted such that white people will no longer constitute the majority, when the younger generation you've just seen have graduated from elite schools and hold positions of power in our institutions, our government, corporations, entertainment, news media, and so forth, how they might, in wielding the levers of society, be able to rationalize, using their adult brain, the hatred that was embedded in their minds during their adolescence. What we're seeing is just the beginning. To the white people who are watching, I just want to say, you are not an oppressor for refusing to accept an ideology that teaches people to hate you, that teaches you that you are inherently bad, that your children are inherently bad, that you are inherently racist no matter what you do or how you think, that you need to repent by taking affirmative steps in your life to redress harms that your ancestors may have done, or the racist actions of other white people. In fact, you are not an oppressor, period. You did not choose to be born white, just like any of us did not choose to be born in our race.
That's right.
And to ask of you, at the individual level, for example, to give your life in service of people of color, to be used as physical barriers at protests, to give away your house to black people instead of your children, all actual things that have been publicly demanded of white people, to ask this of you is morally reprehensible collective punishment. You are not under any obligation to carry yourself in any sort of way that others demand of you just because of the color of your skin. This, you need to do this and you need to do that because you benefit from privilege thing is bogus.
So now they make it's being hard to tell. Okay, so if the situation is something when you feel like you're being discriminated against, it's like, how can you really tell? Because you got so many people that are saying it's that thing. How do you really know? A person could just be having a problem with this particular situation or what is going on. You know what I'm saying? Not because of the color of a person's skin in that type of situation. It could just be the mere fact that this is what it is and they're having a problem with whatever it is. I don't know. It could be anything for, like on a plane, or anything like that. It could be that, they feel like they're being discriminated against because of, I don't know, flight attendant or something. But it may not be that whatever the situation is between the flight attendant and that, passenger. Yeah. It could just be that this is the issue, ain't got nothing to do with your skin color. This is it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, how can you really tell? Or it could be on the flip side. It could be that flight attendant is feeling away because you're of this race. But, it's like you don't want to look at everything in a microscope with this one perspective, because if you're looking at it from this perspective, that's all you're going to see. And that clouds the real judgment of being able to discern what really is versus what it really ain't.
And walking around in that microscope, to me, you've broken off a piece of your life. Now you're not valuing life as full potential if you focus on race. You're not. You're going to limit parts of your life with that ideology and thinking, because you're going to lose out on opportunities. You're going to miss out on relationships, friendships that you could have created because you had this chip on your block that you don't deserve to have.
Blockage. Mental blockage.
Chip on your shoulder, I'm sorry.
Sorry, y'all.
It is just a way for people harboring racial animus to attack you, to say that the accomplishments you've achieved in your life isn't yours, and to silence you. It is not you. It is this ideology that is wrong and perverse. It is one cloaked in a shroud of pseudo-justice and self-righteousness, all the while excreting toxic fumes of racial hatred. It blames all white people for the actions of their ancestors, something you have no control over, while absolving black people of personal responsibility for their own individual actions by holding that black people commit acts of harm, for example, towards another community. That's the fault of white supremacy. White people are controlling them like puppets on a string. It's a backwards, transgressive ideology. If you don't harbor any hate in your heart but want to fight it as a matter of principle, this does not make you racist or bigoted. If you refuse to accept their premise in your head, but are too afraid to voice your opinion, you're neither a coward nor a bad person. If you're of a liberal bent, but there's a small corner in your brain telling you as you're watching this video that perhaps some of this is wrong, listen to your intuition. Maybe you think, oh, I agree with most of what the progressive left teaches about racial justice, but just not with some of this disagreeable stuff, only at the extremes. I'm here to tell you that the rot starts at the core. This racial hatred of white people is a natural outgrowth, part and parcel of an ideology that attempts to indoctrinate us into believing that there is current systemic oppression going on, that all racial disparities we see today is the sole result of oppression by white people, when there are other more plausible explanations to be had that these same people are silencing as impermissible hate speech. They're telling you, shut up. You'll take it, and you'll like it. But contrary to what they're saying, you don't have to take that. You can believe that the things that have been done in the past were morally wrong, as well you should, all the while believing that what is currently going on is also wrong, that we're going backwards, that this is history rhyming with itself. The table is turning in an eye for an eye manner. As the great Mahatma Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. But those driven by hatred would sooner gouge everyone's eyes out than realize that true victory for people of color would have been having history record that when the power dynamics shifted, we treated white people with a kindness that their forefathers may not have shown our forefathers. But now, it will say when we gained the power, we turned around and started doing some of the same stuff to white people. segregation, social ostracization, hatred sanctioned by government and law. And we're doing all of this while pretending like we're doing something valiant. We've missed our bus. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a course correction.
Right.
True.
So, to some people of color watching who are engaging in this sort of hatred, whether or not you're acutely aware, the same people that act like white people as a collective are not people, but rather some pernicious alien force that has come to invade the earth. With this video, I implore you to ask yourself, what are we doing to white people? As some people love to say, do better.
Wow.
This was good.
That was good. Yo.
That was really, really good.
That was extremely educational.
It was. And it's amazing how it was like right on point, and the video brought up thoughts that I had been thinking based off just seeing certain things that coming up on the news and, or on YouTube primarily. I only chime into the news when I've seen something that has popped up, like through Twitter. I'll get a tweet and I'll see notification. I'm like, okay, let me go and see what's on YouTube, because following the news will have you messed up. I'm sorry.
Yes, it will.
It really is. It really will.
To a level, it will.
Yeah.
You need to be educated, but there's a certain level of it that will.
Not every single day. If you're covering a specific content and you need information about this thing, that's why I watch it. But anyway, what he was saying was spot on. It was just like, oh my gosh. And I thought about, okay, so did God talk about race in the Bible? And I thought about this. And for some reason, I've been reading the Bible app. And I'm going through reading the Bible in 100 days.
Yeah.
Or in a year, I'm sorry. And it started naming all of these tribes based off their ancestors.
Okay.
So, it just went on and on. So this is how they were identified, was the tribe of this, this tribe. Yeah. Based off of this ancestor. That's how they got the name for that particular group of people.
Okay.
But it did not go by skin color. And I was like, oh my gosh, God wasn't on that. He was on it by your kinfolk and who you were and how y'all was acting and what y'all did in that area on the land. If y'all came up and y'all did this thing and he was pleased, it was all good.
That's right.
But if he wasn't pleased, poof, be gone.
Poof, be gone.
He was trill with it. I was like, God, you are the truth. He'll wipe the whole. Okay, I'm sorry. But
Thank you.
Saying.
Yeah, so that was on point. I don't know. I might make this like a 2-part since, it's kind of long. So y'all might see the first half and this being the second half on this end.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. So
it's time to get off of that.
It's time to move forward, man. Because if we can take eyes off that, people can start maybe come together and make some money. Maybe.
And looking at the real issues, looking at what we really need to be doing in the world.
Only people I saw that's really pushing them there are the young TikTokers that are confused. But like he said, these are the ones that's going to go off and get in certain positions and places that's with these ideologies. So anyway, man, like, comment, subscribe. Don't take a nosedive, but comment down in the section below if you want some. If you want some more, man. We'll see you on the next one, man. Bye-bye.